In chapter 72 of the Gospel of Barnabas, Jesus having arrived in his own country, he says, "I am now come to the world to prepare the way for the messenger of God, who shall bring salvation to the world. But beware that ye be not deceived, for many false prophets shall come, who shall take my words and contaminate my gospel." Then said Andrew, "Master, tell us some sign that we may know him." And Jesus answered, "He will not come in your time, but will come some years after you, when my gospel shall be annulled, insomuch that there shall scarcely be 30 faithful." This sign is a clear allusion to the Samaritan sect, the Dositheans. The Church Father Origen describes the Dositheans as being reduced to scarcely 30 left. In the Clementine romances, there are 30 Dositheans. There are proverbially only 30 Dositheans. In our sources, it is the Dositheans who are the group reduced to a remnant of 30. There shall scarcely be 30 faithful. This is a signature motif of the Dosithian sect, and it undoubtedly signals some Dosithian influence in the Gospel of Barnabas. Long ago, John Bowman, the Australian Samaritan scholar, drew attention to the Samaritan-themed content in this medieval Gospel. This reference in chapter 72 is more specifically Samaritan Dosithian. Dositheus is a mysterious figure, but is known to us as a Samaritan heretic, a Gnostic so-called, who intermingles with early Christian figures, notably Simon Magus. Church heresiologists cast him as a messianic pretender, or, more in keeping with this passage, as a false prophet. In our sources, he is also closely associated with or conflated with John the Baptist. That would seem to be the case here. In the Barnabas Gospel, Jesus himself is conflated with John the Baptist and is presented as the forerunner to the Messiah. "I am now come to the world to prepare the way for the messenger of God, who shall bring salvation to the world." Canonically, of course, he who prepares the way is John. John doesn't appear in the Gospel of Barnabas at all. Instead, his role is conflated with, subsumed into the figure of Jesus. If we find this explicitly Dosithian motif, it is part of the way the author has attached the John the Baptist material to the canonical portrait of Jesus. This is what seems to have happened. The author has a gospel narrative, a diatessaron, covering the ministry of Jesus. But into that narrative, attached to that scaffold, he has cut and pasted extra canonical episodes and a wealth of additional material, most of it medieval sermonizing. The additional material that has been pasted appears to have originally been in the name of, or to have concerned, John the Baptist. We have a body of unfamiliar, unorthodox John the Baptist material inserted into the diatessaron, but put into the mouth of Jesus. That is a fair description of the Barnabas Gospel as a whole. A body of unorthodox John the Baptist material inserted into a diatessaron, with the Jesus and John roles conflated. This Dosithian motif, the scarcely 30 faithful remaining, presumably travels with the body of John the Baptist material, which is also the Samaritan-themed material. Samaritans plus John the Baptist equals Dosithians. There must be a case for the Gospel of Barnabas receiving material from Dosithians, perhaps a group surviving into the Middle Ages, or at least preserving material in a Dosithian tradition. We can identify the main traditions that are assembled in the Gospel of Barnabas. There is a recognisable Carmelite influence, for example, with an emphasis on Elijah and stories from the Book of Kings. This too seems to have originally concerned John the Baptist. But the allusion to the Dositheans, scarcely 30 faithful, is unmistakable, and further defines the sort of material and strands of heterodox Christian thought that have converged in the Gospel of Barnabas before or while it was adapted to the purposes of a Muslim convert. This Dosithian reference, the remnant of 30, must have been in the material at his disposal. It doesn't serve the work's Muslim agenda in any way. The author didn't invent it. It's a Dosithian motif. The author is probably unaware of those associations. It is part of the raw materials from which he is assembling his gospel. It tells us the nature of the materials he was using, where he acquired those materials, and how old those materials might be, and what path they may have travelled into the Gospel of Barnabas are other questions.